Good morning, everyone. It is September 17th, 2025. It is 10 minutes to 9. The market has not opened yet. And today's going to be a very interesting day. So, today is a news day. There's a FOMC meeting today around, I believe, 2:30 Eastern Time. So between 2 o'clock, 2:30, and 3 o'clock, there's going to be a lot of volatility that's going to happen. And I can only guess what's going to happen from here, right? But I do know that the charts move a specific way leading up to a big news event, as well as what happens during the news event and then what happens after. And I mentioned it before. Earlier this week, I mentioned that there's news going to be this week. And what usually happens is the charts have a tendency to align themselves in the middle of a range, okay? Sometimes they do this pattern where it looks like this. It's like a triangle pattern where there's like an apex to it, just like so. Sometimes it does that. But as you can see here, from the weekend, here's the weekend, we've moved up just to match this 50% line. We are now in the middle of this range. So I have a feeling that because there's news later on, we're going to continue to position ourselves in this area. I don't think we're going to move that much here. I don't think we're going to move that much. It could be possible that we come back. Remember, yesterday I was showing you on a lower time frame here that we were actually in a range. Here it is here. I marked it as long and short. In fact, let me just highlight that a little bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. And yesterday I was saying that I was looking for this chart to move up and hook on the 50% range, and this is the 50% line. This is the 50% line right here, and it did just that. But before it did, it actually moved down to the bottom of this range that we made yesterday. Which again, I mean, like, it goes along with it. You see, the idea is not that, here's the position that I want to go into. Like, let me long because we're going to go up. Usually that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to grab a range, like an area that you would long in. And if you were to start here, then you can always add on over here. Or better yet, if this is the long range, I would shoot for a position where it kind of like overshoots a little, just in case the chart does something like that, right? So this leads me into what I wanted to go over as far as trading goes. It's not just about you finding a good position. It's not just about that. But it's also about the sizing that you put into your positions, right? Because it all plays a role. There are like three major factors here, right? Your entry, right? So this is the area that you're going to buy in, right? So one is your entry. Two is your position sizing. Now, I don't know if this goes in order or what, but sizing. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say, and I'll keep it simple. Let's say you wanted to play this area for $100, right? Let's just say you wanted to do that. You wouldn't just throw $100 in right here. You wouldn't do that. What you would do is you'd break it up. You'd break it up into like threes, okay? But each time it's not in a third each way. It is slightly gaining more money as you move in. So it would be like this, where you start out with a small amount as your entry, right? And you work your way higher, especially towards the middle of the range, and then at the end there, you've got a larger clump. So if this chart moved the way that it did just now, what you would do is essentially your DCA would probably knock you down right over here instead of being up here, and you would have $100 in your position rather than just $10, right? And you don't really have to move up that much before you take some profit. So 2 is position sizing, but the third part of trading is your exit, right? Exit. Okay, now exit has like 2 different meanings. So you've got a stop loss, which is an exit, right? And this is your risk, right? And then the other exit is your profit taking, okay? Now, the thing that I like to do when I'm doing this is I do not like to take full profit at like a certain area. Instead, I take profit over time. The same way that I do as I enter, I also exit. So this is kind of the whole picture with trading, okay? It's not just entry and identifying like I'm going to throw money in. It's identifying an area that you want to get into, right? And also how you're going to disperse your position so that you can get the most maximum, bang for your buck, right? But also lose the least amount. And the last part is your exit, okay? If you can find a rhythm to all of this, then you can be very profitable in this space, right? So looking at this right over here, we marked this out as a long area. And if you weren't in a long, this definitely would have been an area for you to take a long, because I believe this is where we were in the chart, like somewhere around here yesterday as I was talking. But my idea was that we were going to move up here and hook. Now, I don't really care if I say we're going to start on position A and we're going to end on position B. What I can't do is I can't tell you how we're going to get there. I can't tell you that. So meaning, like, it's not going to be a straight line, right? Instead, it might do something like this. Or it might do something, like this. Might do something like that. I'm not sure what happens inside of this line. So the idea of it hooking did exactly that. I was looking for it to come into this area. And I drew that on my screen yesterday as part of my analysis. But what I didn't expect it to do was to drop down lower. But I did mark this as a long area. So still, you could have taken advantage of that. You could have taken a swing in this zone right over here, and you would have been able to get into an entry, and this definitely would have been a nice area to take some profit. Even though it looks small, it's still a good area to take the opportunity to make some gains, right? It's not about it going up to the moon. It's about the opportunity that's presented to you. So what's important is that you really look for the opportunities that are realistic rather than trying to show off or trying to get one over or whatever it is that you need to be self-fulfilled on this. What's important is that you make some gains, right? And also that you didn't lose any money, okay? Because that's just as important. Okay, so now if I go back out to the 12 hours, so here we are, and one of the things that I said to you, one of the things that I mentioned was that usually in a news play, it likes to do this thing where it gets itself in the middle of two order blocks, order block, order block. Now the thing is that there are more order blocks as you go out, right? So there's another order block over here and another order block over here. The thing is that this chart will eventually hit both order blocks, but it could also because it's unpredictable here. It could also spike and hit the outside order blocks as well. So this is the problem with news plays. It's really hard to determine what's going to happen. So I have a feeling what we're going to do is we're going to hang out in this area until maybe 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. But what I do know is this. I wouldn't enter in right now. Don't play the middle. Instead, if you're looking for a position, I would still look for a position around these order blocks, right? Because if it was going to spike, it would do something like this and then back down here, right? So you can essentially kind of catch both if you want to, but it's just not really worth it. Because what happens is usually the first move is the wrong move. Usually. It doesn't have to do that all the time. Okay? So if it moves like this and then it continues going up, it can do that. But most of the time, it does do this where it like hits two different order blocks and goes that route. So this is where we are today. We are in this zone in the middle of the range. And because we are at the top of the 50% range, like it looks like we're grabbing a hold of it, right? What I would say is that this probably really is the target. This area right here. I have a feeling that that's the target. Because if news spikes, if news goes, then maybe we do something like this as kind of like a first move. You see, I'm still really convinced that we're going to take these out over here. All right. And because we are on the opposite side of the 50% line, and it looks like we're grabbing some support, I really feel like we are going to explore the top of this range. And one thing that I mentioned before is that when we do hit and find some support, the other side will be hit. Look, right? It gets up, it gets as close as it possibly can there, right? So you could see this is kind of losing strength here, but still, when we hit this, we definitely move up, right? So here's another area right here, and you can see, look, we hit the top, right? We are now grabbing this area. We're grabbing this area. So I have a feeling we may just kind of like putz around here for a hot minute. And then I think ultimately we are coming up here. Right? Now, the other thing about news plays is whatever happens today doesn't have to stay for tomorrow. It can totally retrace. So if we did move up, let's just say, okay, let's just say that we're planning for it to move up, and it does something like this, and it comes over here, right? Well, tomorrow it just might very well come back down here, find some strength, and then continue for Friday. Okay, that's very well possible. Just because it moves whatever direction it decides to move today doesn't mean tomorrow we don't retrace. Today will be a high frequency day, right? Like almost like everybody is sprinting and tomorrow they need a day off. So we're going to see what happens. But right now, that's what I'm looking at. I do have my position here, and I still have my plan to add on to my long around here, okay, for my BTC trade. We are hanging out over here. And if we go down to the lower time frame, let's go down to the 30-minute time frame, you could see we've really lost strength. Like, there's no one really trading right now. Like, this is kind of like a waiting period. Like, it could totally be doing this, but it could also just keep on going down here until, you know, news play, spike, boom, back up, you know, like it could do something like that for sure. Now, the other thing that I just want you to be aware of is I am choosing the golden pocket that's right over here. I have seen this come all the way back down to this one, and then work its way all the way back up to the top, all in a stride, right? So if I get stopped out in this area, I'm going to be considering this area as well. So I think what my goal is that when I add on to my position, it's going to shift my position. And I'm hoping that I shift it to around here, that I can have my stop loss right a little bit underneath the top of this. Because if it does spike down like this, then we can possibly pop back up. So I'm keeping that in mind. And the reason why I want this here is because of this candle and this candle right over here. Okay, so that's my plan for Bitcoin. Now, the last thing I'm going to add for this is this. Now that we're on this side of the range, if we continue up, my idea is that I'm going to start looking for shorts. Okay, so I'll be selling as we go up. And we, once we get to this area, I don't think we don't break right away. So we end up heading back down into the range, and then we kind of like bounce from there. So I will be looking at this area here for a possible short position, right? Like a short-term short position. We'll see. Okay, let's take a look over at Ethereum real quick. Okay, so Ethereum is creating this cup pattern as well. It's creating this cup pattern pretty well. But again, we are now kind of approaching this 50% range, right? We are in the middle. I mean, look, give it a hook or not a hook, we are in the middle. We're just slightly underneath from where I'm at right now. And yeah, here's the 50% range right here. And what we should see is this kind of come over and hook over here, right? So what happens is again, we are stuck between two areas that it can tap. It can come down here and it can go right up there and then come back down to the middle and then work its way back up. So I will be looking for that. That's my plan. Right now, I did DCA in. I moved my position over here, just as a reminder. The position's right over here, and my stop loss is right down here. And again, this aligns with my line in the sand here. Now, if for some reason I get stopped out, depending on what's happening, I will be looking over here for a long again. Okay, because of this over here, I would be looking for a long. Like if this chart were to come down here and take this guy out over here, whoever longed on this section, then I would be looking to kind of get in, because I think that's a good sniping spot. But that's only if we go down. I am looking for it to go up. I still feel like we've got this area here. Not only that, but this pattern is starting to build some pressure. There is so much liquidity right over here of, lost money. That's just actually, let me not do the X's there, right? Let me do this. There's lost money here, right? There's lost money here. So it's starting to feel like there are pockets of liquidity that need to be filled in. And if it spikes up to here, then it'll wipe these guys out, and we are starting to work towards this one. This guy's already knocked out, so we're good on that part. So, and again, I mentioned like this end pattern that I notice all the time. So, we'll see if it does that. I have a feeling it's going to come around and it's just going to kind of like chisel out until 1, 2 o'clock. And then when the FOMC meeting starts, that's when we're going to start to see, okay? So be smart, be prepared. Don't buy here. Don't buy there. Don't do anything in the middle of the range. Look for the outsides of the range, right? And meaning like short here, long here, okay? Like you can play this in this way if you want to. But if you're already in a position, then you're good. You're good to go. Okay, so now Let's jump over to the S&P 500. Let's pop over here. And yeah, so here we are. We're at the top of this channel, right? And I was mentioning before that we can break even higher than this channel because of this trend line that I'm seeing, right? So there's a trend line here. So what we've got is initially we've got like a one touch there, right? Like if this was, or one peak, right? So if this was a peak right there, but what we don't have is we don't have another touch on this trend line. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this to even spike just like the other stuff, hit this spot and possibly move up a little bit more and maybe even start losing some momentum on this trend line to break it out later on, right? So I feel like this might be like a tomorrow kind of move, right? Like setting up for tomorrow. But yeah, so that's what I feel like. I feel like we are going to move up a little bit. How far we're going to move, I have no idea. But I do feel like this is a target right over here for this trend line. And again, we're going to lose a little bit of momentum because people are anticipating a rate cut today. But, you know, the actual move might have been done already. This might have been the rate cut move, right? So it could possibly just start ripping down from here. Again, I'm not really sure. Remember, there are people out there who front run. That's what they do. They do not wait for news. They don't wait for news. They anticipate an area. So if the front run move was up, and let's say that the news was so bullish, it was great. Well, guess what? These guys made out because they're going to start selling like crazy into your buy. And that's usually what happens, right? On the other hand, like if we are going down and the news is, let's say the news is bad, right? Let's say the news is bad. Well, we already baked in the dip way beforehand. So when everybody starts shorting in this area because, oh, the news is bad, that's when all these guys start buying it up and move the chart up. So it's kind of like an inverse reaction here. But, you know, again, the idea is to, you know, buy when there's fear, right? And sell when there's greed. And if the crypto Twitter is saying buy, well, guess what? Here we are. We're kind of in the greed. If they're saying sell, well, guess what? Here we are, right? So we're not trying to think like the public. What we're trying to think is like what market makers will do. What will the market makers do? How will they handle good news compared to bad news? What's the deal, right? So, yeah, we will see. I will try to record some stuff later on when we get closer to the FOMC, just to kind of like follow up with some of these ideas. Maybe we'll be able to see some of the concepts that I've been mentioning about news plays. And again, like, you know, the news plays is, you know, we get to an area and then spike up one way, spike down another, we get back to the mean, and then we've got the real move from there. So hopefully I'll be able to show you that to you later on today. Let's go take a quick look over at Bitcoin dominance. So yesterday I was saying that we could possibly move up a little bit, you know, kind of reject here, and it looks like it's happening, which is good. That's good. I am looking for this to drop. I'm looking for this to drop. That's what I'm hoping for. The reason why I'm hoping for that is because it'll give Ethereum dominance the opportunity to move up. And again, here we go. Look, man, there's liquidity in here. Like look at this whole thing. This whole thing is liquidity, you know? So it would make sense to me that we you know, Ethereum might actually just take off, man. According to the dominance, this feels like yeah, the pressure's been so far on the downside, right? That it could be possible that we get like a nice spike up. And if we get a nice spike up, it could very well be that Ethereum breaks this all-time high. I am looking for it to get in this area. But also, I do feel like Ethereum has been a lagger this whole time. And yeah, it might be the Ethereum show at this point. So, you know, what happens in this area, I'm not quite sure. And I'm not quite interested in shorting this area just yet, right? I would be looking for a short, for a short-term thing. But if Ethereum has so much strength on it, I'd rather long, right? And I'd rather basically, my idea is because I'm already in a long, I'd rather add to my long, okay? Rather than take a short. Because this has more potential, I feel, than a short-term short, right? So anyway, that's my idea for today. I hope that was clear as far as my thinking goes. I hope you guys will be able to see some of these things that I've talked about, some of these ideas. And yeah, please be careful today. Do not jump to any conclusions. Like, don't run with it. There's plenty of time to make a decision on where you're going to go. I mean, like, honestly, you know, if this broke this line here, you could have longed here and still been able to take advantage of this. You don't always have to get the bottoms. You could have longed over here and still taken advantage of this. And I mean, like, you know, even so, you know, if you longed over here, you still could have taken advantage of it. Okay? So do not rush. Let the charts come to you, and just be aware, right? Take some notes. All right, guys. Have a good day. I will talk to you guys later.